and I listed my own flip. So including profit and commission, I made $120,000 in profit in 56 days, which blew my mind. And I had $5,000 of my own money in the deal.
If you're a new investor and you've never done a deal, like that has to give you some confidence that you can make
the second deal, this fool had like no money to do, and he made like 100,000. Like, damn.
In 57 days. Imagine that, putting your last $5,000 in, and then 2 months later, 130 back in.
But we got to unpack that, right? He knew the area well. He was taking action. Like he was first guy there to like the wholesale deal.
What's up, deal makers? We just finished Ask Alex number 56. 2021 is coming to an end, and man, we finished it with a bang. We brought in a killer special guest, Jeremy Mateo. This guy is doing some big things out in Hawaii. Alex, what were your biggest takeaways, man?
Man, that was a fantastic webinar. I love Jeremy. He has great energy, social media. I mean, he's first-year investor, already taken out 3 big deals in Hawaii. But I think the big takeaways were there's a lot of agents that never transition from becoming an agent to being an investor. So he covered a lot of that. And also how to just figure it out on your way in the journey, rather than just trying to figure it all out before you even take any action. You got to figure out along the way. I think if you're an agent and you want to become an investor, you've got to watch this webinar. Aloha, what's up, my deal makers? Man, end of the year. What an amazing year, everybody. I see some similar faces. We're going to have my man Jeremy Mateo on today. And I think you guys are going to love his story. Where's Will at? All right, let's get Mr. Will Wall inside. But I'm in downtown Los Angeles, everybody. So thanks for showing up as usual. Same bad channel, same bad time. And we're going to give you guys as much value as we possibly can, as we always do. We're going to cover his story. I think you guys are going to love to hear what he has to say. I know Jeremy personally. Okay, let me see here. Why won't? All right, so I know Jeremy personally, and the guy is a stud, and I just love how much action he takes. And I've had some great times with him and Stacy and some of the Hawaii investors over there in Oahu. So I think you guys are going to get a lot of value from some of the questions we're going to ask him today. And hopefully you guys have some questions. Some of you I know are agents or are with agents. What's up, my man, Will?
What's up, brother? Yeah, I'm fired up for Mr. Jeremy Mateo today. I know, like you were saying, I think there's a lot of people in the room, probably going to be agents, right, that are going to take, some of these direct pieces of advice from this guy and be able to use that for the future.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I definitely think that his story, especially because I've been now networking with him for over a year, we're going to be able to just describe that transition, right, from becoming an agent to becoming an investor, having a team, and being able to delegate, and then also just focus more on that side of things, because it can be a lot more profitable than the agent side. Nothing wrong with the agent. But there's definitely some differences, and we're going to talk all about that today.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think there's some definite differences. There's some nuances to both of them that are similar, but definitely different. So this should be cool. Before we dive into the special guest, though, Alex, I know you have some stuff going on in your life. Obviously, holidays this week, and would love to kind of get an update where things are at with you, man.
Yeah, thanks, dude. So I'm back in downtown Los Angeles. I was in Hawaii until last night. And so I spent the Christmas in Hawaii with my twin brother. That was cool. He decided to come out for that time of the year. Hawaii is amazing. The whales are out. We got out to the water. We did a whale watching tour. We went hopped over to Oahu. I showed him that island. It's a short plane flight away. It's funny, Will, because I envisioned that more than a year ago. I'm like, hey, if I move to Hawaii, I've heard it's pretty cool, easy to just hop on a flight. It's only like $50. The airports in Hawaii are not as packed as Southern California, so you can get in and out pretty quickly. So that was cool to hop over, hang out with some of my investor friends. We went canoe surfing. I don't know if you've ever done that, but I got to get you out there on a canoe. It's super fun to get out on the waves. So Indar, my brother and I went out there and did that. We wrapped up on the business side a couple of deals last week. I think it was 2 or 3 that we closed on last week.
Been a busy December. Yeah, I think I'd have to pull it up on the sheet, but yeah, I think it was like 2 or 3 last week, another one this week. It's been busy end of the year, right?
Yeah, I felt like I was with the notary every single day practically. And some people think, oh, it's easy, but dude, it's like 45 minutes, 30 minutes just signing documents 3-4 times a week.
And setting it up, I mean, like whether it's a mobile notary or whether you're meeting them at their offices, it just depends on what's timelier now that you're out here in person. So yeah, I mean, definitely a busy way to end the month. And I think those deals actually propelled us all the way to our goals here for 2021. So, finished it out with a bang, right?
Yeah, certainly. And then we just closed on something yesterday. We sold something today. So it's a crazy end of year. I think we're going into next year with a lot of momentum. I know the tribe feels that. So also, I'm going to be going to this investor bash party tomorrow night. A couple of notable Los Angeles investors are going to be throwing it. So we're going to be going out there. I posted on my Instagram story. So if you guys are in Southern California or you're in LA, you guys want to meet us, meet me and Will. We're going to go out there, have a good time tomorrow night. And then I'll be going down to Mexico for New Year's. So I'll be there for a couple weeks and then coming back up to seeing the house finish in Maui. So it's going to be interesting next couple of weeks, see how things have turned out. We're listing a couple of properties. So I'm super excited to talk about Jeremy today, though, and his story so we can give some value to the tribe on showing what he's been able to accomplish in his first year as an investor.
Yeah, and guys, I know I see a lot of familiar faces in here, but if you do get a chance, please let us know. Go ahead and use that chat feature and let us know where it is you're tuning in from, what your name is, and then what market you're in, just so we can kind of get an idea. I know we got some Hawaii folks in here, we got some LA folks in here, some familiar faces in there. So appreciate everybody joining on. Keep in mind, guys, this is the last webinar of the year. So again, we felt that at the end of the year, we've done a lot of special guests. We've had a lot of value that we've dropped on you guys, really kind of just opened the books. But we wanted to end it with a bang, right? So Jeremy is going to be on this week. And then next week, we're going to open up the year with a bang with Steve Trang. So we should have back-to-back, killer special guests. Both of these guys are realtor turned investors. And Jeremy is on the beginning side of that. And obviously Steve Trang is on, a little bit further of the side of that. But that's why we wanted to kind of dose those up for you guys. I think like Alex mentioned, there's a lot of people in the room that are going to be, investors and or agents. So this should be great. And I see a lot of people chiming in right now. I see Kekoa in the building, Amari's in here. Again, a lot of familiar faces, Noriel and Caesar. So good to see you guys in here and continue to let us know. I'm going to drop the Facebook link in here, Alex. I think we have over 600 people in the Facebook group now. It's something just crazy, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable that many people are in the group now. But I always see the chatter. I always see people talking, connecting with each other, helping each other out. That's why we help build this community. So then that way there's a resource. You always have somebody to lean on. If you're taking action as a new investor or a seasoned investor, whatever level you're at, there's always questions. There's always problems that come up. And we can all help each other by being part of a network that really owns that value. It says, hey, we're a go-giver network. We're here to just provide value with no, we're not selling anything. We're not trying to do anything. We're not trying to do anything specifically by just handing out this free game, other than just make this industry a little bit better and bigger.
And not even the free game element of it, but I mean, Mark Neagley asked a killer question last week, and I saw 5, 6, 7, 8 people kind of chime in and give their feedback. So if you guys have missed one of our webinars in the past, every month we typically do a virtual house. It's an open house, and it's where everybody can kind of chat and get to know each other. So think of this, the Facebook group is kind of the digital version of that. If you have a question and it's not that week of the month, like where we're doing that virtual open house, you might want to just ask it in the Facebook group, and you're going to get 30 sets of eyes looking at that question, 300, 600 people looking at the question and giving you their feedback, as opposed to, just 1 or 2. So take advantage of that group. And we look forward to, again, finishing up this year and starting off 2022 with a bang with you guys. So Alex, let's go ahead and get our special guest on here. Will you make me the host here when you get a chance?
Yep, you got it.
Cool, man. And, I know we've known Jeremy for a little bit, but give us a kind of a brief intro here of the guy that we like to call Mr. Jeremy Mateo, the realtor turned investor, as we welcome here onto the screen, man.
Yeah, so Jeremy's become a great friend. I could consider him a little bit of a mentee as well, because he's earlier on in the journey. But last year when I moved to Hawaii, I went over to Oahu a couple of times. I think it was on the second visit. What up, Jeremy? A second visit, I was hanging out with Stacy because Stacy and I met in Southern California. She was doing stuff in Antelope Valley, but then she decided because of family to move back to Hawaii. And then when she did that, and I was back in Hawaii, I hopped over, was hanging out, and she's like, "Hey, you want to go on this like cruise, a booze cruise, in Honolulu Bay?" And so I was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds fun." And she's like, and then she brought along Jeremy, and she's like, "Oh yeah, there's a successful agent that I'm kind of networking with. I think he's interested in becoming an investor. Maybe he wants to tag along. Is that cool?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So Jeremy comes along, and Jeremy's a fireball, man. That guy got a ton of energy. Like he's just like always smiling, like, "Yeah, let's go, let's go." And so we had a great time. We talked, and then I talked with a lot of people, but apparently, man, this guy just ran with all the advice that I gave him, which I'm really, really happy when I see people do that, because I mean, good advice or advice is useless if people don't take any action from it. So what's up, Jeremy? How you doing today, brother?
What's up, my man? What's up, Alex? What's up, Will? Thank you guys for having me on. Super stoked, super honored. I consider Alex a big bro, mentor, gave me life-changing advice on that booze cruise. But yeah, man, I wouldn't be here without you guys. So really honored to be on this with you guys.
Yeah, bro, welcome, aloha, and welcome to the Ask Alex. I mean, again, I think it's a testament to both, what you've done in the past as an agent, and also what you're kind of now transitioning to do here as an investor. So I think, again, if you guys have not met Jeremy or are not following him on Instagram, definitely a worthwhile follow, because he's sharing content. Again, he listened to what Alex said. He's taking action, and he's sharing the action and sharing some tips on there. So if you haven't given him a follow or checked out his YouTube page, highly, highly recommend it. Because again, he's starting off, this investment journey, and I think he's really sharing some valuable tips and tricks in there. So let's get things kind of kicked off, Jeremy. Tell us a little bit, and the rest of the tribe here, a little bit of a background on you. Like, where'd you kind of come from? What's your story, and what's your kind of your goals here as we kind of transition out of 2021 to 2022?
Definitely, man. Yeah. So I guess, a little background with me. I was born and raised here on Oahu. Both my parents are full Filipino immigrants. They came here from the Philippines, would not be here without them. My dad joined the military. So we kind of moved around a little when I was super young. Moved from here to San Antonio, Texas, Savannah, Georgia, Boston, Massachusetts, then came back here. So shout out to my dad. And then my mom, her family owned a Filipino restaurant in Hawaii. And then like in 2002, I believe she got her real estate license. And that's kind of like where she started her real estate journey. My parents raised me, always took care of me. However, in my first year of college, I went to UC Irvine in California. That's kind of where I got the taste of the mainland lifestyle and the speed of life. But unfortunately, my parents got divorced, and everything kind of went downhill from there. They both went bankrupt. Me, my mom, and my two siblings, my sister, my brother, would move back to Hawaii, kind of started from scratch from there. So, I didn't grow up poor, but we kind of like headed, we grew up okay, then kind of went to like a rock bottom in 2013. And ever since there, it's kind of like been an uphill battle. And I think now everything is starting to be, starting to look awesome. In college, though, I kind of never knew. I was a little lost with what I wanted to do. My dad wanted me to join the military. My mom wanted me to be, a doctor, all the things that were just very stable and, traditional. And I was like, all right, cool. So first year of college, I was a bio major. I was like, all right, I'm going to be a dentist. And had no idea what a proton and a neutron was. I hated it. I was miserable.
Do you know what they are yet, or no? I still don't know the difference.
No idea, dude. Like, I hear they're like kind of cool things that do stuff.
but we're happy you didn't get stuck in that, right?
Absolutely, man. So yeah, sophomore year of college, transferred to Hawaii. Still kind of lost, didn't know where I wanted to go in life. I was in a frat. I was also a DJ, which we'll talk about later, but just partying a lot and just trying to enjoy life, because I felt like that whole rock bottom freshman year of college kind of like sucked. And I was just trying to enjoy life because all of that stuff was going on. Then I saw my mom, seeing a lot of success as a real estate agent. After the divorce, she was kind of supporting me, my brother, my sister, and I was in college. And my mom, she's awesome, like strong woman, and she's killing it in real estate. And she's, typical Filipino fob mother, not aggressive in sales at all. So I'm like, man, like if my mom's killing it and she's not aggressive or salesy, I wonder what I could do. And I asked her some questions about that. And she was like, yeah, son, like you should do it. So got my license. And after that, I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to make 100K and drop out of college. Like I really hated college and none of that happened. And I realized how hard it is to be an agent. So after that, sophomore year, then I graduated my 5th year of college. Coming out of college, I was actually in a cross path between going into real estate or being a full-time DJ traveling the country. And it came to a point where I was like, wow, like I could actually, do some big stuff in the DJ world. My fun fact, my DJ name was Dirty Germs for all those that know me from back then. But I was like thinking, okay, you know what, let me give this real estate thing a try. And that's where I learned, from being a DJ, you have to promote yourself a lot. And I did that by using social media. And that's kind of where I started to learn how marketing worked, how social media worked, how networking worked. And little did I know I was using those skills to, help me propel as a realtor. And then slowly but surely, I started finding my niche, started finding my groove, graduated in 2017. And then in 2019, as an agent, I hit 6 figures for the first time. And all of my clients literally came from Instagram, just being myself, being who I am, providing value, educating millennials and first-time home buyers about real estate. And slowly but surely that started working. We all know what happened in 2020. I bought my first home in 2020 in March. The next weekend, COVID happened and all of Hawaii shut down. We could not, we could not leave the house. So, for me, naturally, I'm always thinking like, okay, what's my next move? Like, how am I going to adapt to this? Because if you don't adapt, if you don't evolve, like then your business shuts down. So I'm like, okay, I can't leave my house. How can I educate people? How can I promote myself as a realtor? So that's where I found YouTube. And that's where I started making YouTube videos, started making, house tour videos. So I'm like, all right, if I can't bring you to me, I'm going to bring the real estate to you through YouTube, and started doing that. And naturally, as YouTubers, I started going down the rabbit hole. So after going in real estate YouTube world, I started, oh, what is this? Real estate investing. I always heard about people investing, flipping houses. I was friends with Stacy at the time, and she always mentioned, flipping houses. And while she was talking about that, I was just like, yeah, that's crazy. Like only rich people do that. Like, what is this OPM stuff? You're nuts. And then it came at the end of 2020. She was like, hey, dude, like, I know you're like, you always ask me questions about that. Like, I'm actually going on a booze cruise with this guy named Alex Camacho. I'm like, all right, cool. Like it's going to be all you can drink. And, for all people that know me, I'm really good at networking. I'm really good at drinking, and I'm really awesome at networking and drinking.
You had me at all you can drink, right? You booze cruise, all you can drink. She was like, who's Alex Camacho? I'm there. I'll be there.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, I'm still an agent, and I still had, my plans were just, be an agent, get my broker's license, start my own brokerage. But it was crazy because that day I was like, if I do flip houses, it'll probably just be on the side, but I'll probably do it in Vegas or like the East Coast because everything's cheaper and I don't have money to buy houses here and flip it here. So then I meet Alex on the booze cruise, and I'm asking, typical noob questions. And I'm like, yo, Alex, yeah, I'm thinking about flipping, but I'm probably going to do it somewhere else because Hawaii is too expensive. And the advice he gave me, which I tell everyone, I tell on social media, all my friends, my family, he said, don't worry about finding the money, bro. Just worry about finding a good deal. Because if you find the good deal, the money will come. And I was like, wow, okay, like it's that easy, huh? And he's like, yeah. So I literally just took that advice, to heart. And I was like, okay, how am I going to get started in real estate investing? How am I going to find a deal? I have MLS and all that, but as an agent, I already know my mind is thinking that, okay, MLS deals are kind of hard to come by that will have a good margin. So I just applied my same skill set starting as a realtor, which was using social media, and I applied it to as an investor. So I literally just posted on my Instagram story, hey, does anyone know of like rundown homes that they want to sell? I'm going to buy it all cash. I was saying all cash, but I had no idea how I was going to get the cash, you know, because
The money was going to come.
Alex Camacho said the money would
And I
come.
remember seeing your post because I didn't follow you before, but then I started following him like, man, this guy's just taking action. Like this guy's just going for it. Because it wasn't like one story. Like he posted like stories after stories, and like he was getting after it. I was like, all right.
Literally, this what he's talking about is like I was posting that post on my story. I literally posted that every single day on my story because like the story feature on Instagram is so powerful. Like it's like a commercial, you know. So I'm like, if I post this every single day, I probably did that for like the month of all of January and February. And one day, you know, some person who wasn't following me messaged me saying, "Hey, my friend told me about your post. My aunt has a home that she's been trying to sell. And there's tons of termites and it's abandoned, empty." And I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect. And, you know, long story short, that's how I found my first deal. I wrote the offer of, it was like 540. I'm like, here, 540 all cash. And at this point, I knew about hard money. Okay. I knew about, okay, this is how I find money. But at that point, I didn't know what I needed as a down payment or, you know, what the process was. I just said, I'm going to buy this for 540 all cash. Boom. Alex said, I'll find money. So I guess this is how it works, you know? And I knew that, okay, going into this new realm, this leap of faith, this is what I'm going to encounter. I'm going to encounter moments where I'll be unsure, I'll be scared. And the first moment was writing the offer. We got into escrow. I was like, okay. The next moment was writing a $10,000 EMD. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like
never had to do that as an agent before, right?
Exactly, you know. And
you're like, wait, I have to put money into escrow? I usually get money out of escrow. What's going on here, guys?
And you know, that was pretty much my first deal. And then even then there's always these hurdles where I had to like, you know, overcome. We're like, all right, what's the next step? And then hard money said, all right, cool, we can fund this deal. And I was like, oh sweet, all right, it's working. But you need 25% down payment, which was like 160 grand. And I was like, all right, cool, no problem. But little did they know, I was like, how the hell am I going to get 160 grand? So again, I'm still thinking of Alex's advice. I'm like, all right, if I don't have it, I need to find people who have it. So I was like, all right, this is a good deal. The money will come. So I reached out to two of my best friends, Fro. I've known him since high school, and he's always, you know, entrepreneurial mindset. My financial advisor, Alex, he's, you know, all same thing, and we're all like the same age, and they always wanted to get into these kinds of things. So like, hey, you guys want to flip a house with me? And show them the deal, and they're like, all right, let's do it. So we all pitched in 57 grand. The whole process went smooth. Sold it. We all made $24,000 each, at a total of $72,000 profit. And right when I saw that, I was like, dude, I'm done being an agent. Like I see that, I was like, I am going all in, balls to the walls with being a real estate investor. Because I mean, although it was scary, there's a lot of risk. I mean, I felt so much fulfillment just working for me, you know, like I'm not like the really, you know, badass investors who do some of the work. I just hired everyone out. But literally my work was going to the house once a week, checking on the progress and like making TikToks, you know, like that was pretty fun.
or like the one where you had the helmet on, the videos, the YouTube videos, and you had like the construction like hat on and everything.
Yeah, I felt like Zoolander, you know, in the coal mines just dancing around. But you know, that was my first step into the investment game. And after that, I just, you know, got the bug and just started looking for deals, scouring for deals. And now like I feel like I'm at the point where I'm going all in. And now I'm like, okay, at first, you know, what got me into flipping was watching YouTube videos, specifically this guy named Ryan Pineda. I'm sure a lot of people, you know him there. But I'll be honest with you guys, I had a super huge ego. I was like, you know, I'm a successful real estate agent. I don't need a coach, you know, like I know the real estate market like the back of my hand. But then towards the ending of last year, where we went on to Ryan Pineda's mastermind, it changed my mindset. I met so many investors, a lot of like, I met kids that were 20 years old making $1 million. And I was like, wow, like I found so much value.
Unreal, right? You're like, man, the ego just goes out the door. You're like, I'm the smallest fish in this room right now. Like what, how, like, I thought I was on Mount Everest and now here I am at the bottom, right?
Exactly. And after that, I was like instantly hooked. Like I want more knowledge. I want more networking. I want to meet people. I'm getting all this value. I want to give them what value I can provide. So I remember thinking, I was like, you know what, in 2021, this is what I accomplished without coaching, with just my knowledge. And I accomplished 2 flips this year and total made 150,000 of personal profit in my first year. And I was just like, wow, okay, if I can do that without a coach, let's see what I can accomplish with a coach, with mentoring, you know? So now that's where I'm at. Is I joined Ryan Pineda's mastermind, and we're going to see how 2022 goes for me.
Dude, I think that's like such a killer roller coaster story, right? You know, I mean, again, I posted it in there, but shout out to all the veterans, because I know we got a couple other veterans, you know, that are a part of the tribe, and so killer stuff. You know, being a military kid and you know, making it back to the island, you know, and being able to be successful in a couple of different realms, like, you know, Alex, like big takeaways there, right?
Yeah, man. So I mean, he continued to figure it out as he went, which is, I think, a big one. Where I think a lot of people kind of let that get in their way. They're, oh, well, I don't know this, so I'm not going to do this. I don't have this figured out, so I'm not going to take this action. But you already know part of it. You don't need to know all of it, or else you would already be an advanced investor. So you have to take the action, test the waters, get out there and do it. And so that was, and how hard is that? Really, he posted a lot of stories. I mean, it's not like he was working on being an investor 8 hours a day, right? He was posting stories, but he was being consistent over that month and a half. And he was drawing the line in the sand, stake, in the sand, like, hey, I'm an investor now. I'm looking for this, guys. And we all have that ability with social media to say, hey, this is what we're doing, guys. But Jeremy did it, right? It's easy to do, but that also means it's easy not to do. So,
action, right? We talk about this regularly, Alex. You were even mentioning it earlier. Like, action is something it's a phrase that we come back to time and time again.
Yeah,
you even mentioned it. Like,
healthy,
you can give somebody the whole book, but if they don't take action, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and some people are blessed a little bit with more confidence, right? And Jeremy obviously has a lot of confidence, which is very helpful in this business. But there is ego, and it can get in the way. So you have to balance. You have to kind of, there's like a balance to that. Like, yeah, I have to have confidence, but I have to be able to be a good student. If someone's telling me something and they've done something that I want to do, then I'm going to pay attention to them. I'm going to think I'm going to go with that like it's true, because they're already doing something I want to do. So I've listened to people that are much further along in my journey, and I'm like, all right, well, they said this, so I'm gonna go with that because they've already proven it by their actions in the life and the business that they have. Compared, like, I'm listening to somebody that hasn't done anything. Well, like, I'm not gonna take their advice. So I think that he's also done that. And I remember talking to Jeremy about that, where he's just like, oh yeah, do I really need to sign up for the coaching? Like, dude, like I know real estate, and I wasn't able to convince him. I was just like, hey, bro, this is working for me, but you figure it out for yourself. And it took him a little bit of time. He took a deal down, but then, he did see, like, hey, there's value to this. And then now he's in the coaching program, and he's definitely going to see the results because of all the extra guidance and just speeding up the learning curve. Like, why do you want to go through an additional 2, 3, 4, 5 years of learning and mistakes when you can cut that down? But you still have to do the work. Never forget that, guys.
And I love what you said too, Jeremy. Like, you've met other people now through, the mastermind that are giving you some resources, giving you some feedback. Just being in that room, whether you're the smallest fish or not. The big thing that I heard you say there is that you started to ask people, like, what value you could add back to them. And that's like the biggest way to grow in real estate is, asking that question of other investors is like, hey, what value can I bring back to you? Like, what do you need help with? So I think those are some big takeaways that, have propelled you to where you are today, man. So great story, and can't wait to kind of, dive in a little bit further with you on the rest of your story here. Before we do though, guys, just want to ask a quick question for everybody in the room. You guys should see a poll popping up on your screen. If you get a chance, just go ahead and answer that. We're just wondering if you are a realtor. So if you are a realtor, broker, let us know in the chat. And in the meantime, Jeremy, like, what is a realtor?
Yeah, super basic, simple terms. A realtor is a licensed, professional real estate agent, and they represent someone buying or selling real estate in the transaction. And, because the average person who isn't trained in real estate won't know everything about a purchase contract or even the process of buying a home. So it's kind of similar. Like, a good example is like a lawyer represents their client in trial. You know, the client doesn't know all the legal verbiage or how the processes work. That's why they have the lawyer to represent them in, you know, the face of court.
So if again, like you're a realtor, what's an investor then?
Got it. Yeah, the investor is the actual person, you know, buying or selling for whatever their, you know, personal financial goal is. And usually they need the realtor to represent them in that purchase or sale.
Got it. And I know you kind of, you know, went into the difference, right? Like a lawyer, I love that, you know, representation there, right? Like one of those people is actually in court, whereas one of them is just representing the person in court. So I love how you kind of, you know, brought that down to reality there. That's a great way of looking at it. And, you know, again, like less skin in the game, right? Obviously, if you're the lawyer, you're not the one who's going to go to jail.
Yeah.
You know, you're representing the guy that might be going to jail, but you're not necessarily the one that's going yourself. So I think that's a great way of kind of looking at the differences there. So like, how do you make the transition?
Yeah, that is a good question. So, I mean, like I was saying earlier, after my first deal, I saw that whole, you know, the profit. I was like, wow, like the amount of work and effort that put into this, generally speaking, wasn't that crazy. Going back to 2020, I had the best year of my life where I sold 24 houses and I made almost $300,000 in income. And it was fun, but it was a lot of work. It was a lot of, I guess, you know, effort into it. And I was a little burnt out, honestly. And when I realized is that my whole life I was thinking, oh yeah, as a real estate agent, we have no bosses. But when I think about it, all of my clients, all those 24 people were my bosses. I had to serve them. And 98% of them were super awesome, super chill. But I had like just a small percentage that kind of just sucked the soul out of you. And I was just like, dude, I don't want to deal with this, you know? And I was just like, geez. And when after that first flip, I was like, wow, this is really fun, you know? And my only boss was me. If I wanted to go into the house and check on it whenever I wanted, I could. And so once I did that, I started going all in and trying to find more deals and doing all that. And I did find more deals. And what I noticed is that finding deals and handling projects takes time. So I was putting all my time into that. And I'd rather put my time into that than putting time into, you know, real estate agent work. So naturally that transition, you know, didn't just happen like that. It was like a slow transition where I figured, okay, I'm focusing my time on investing rather than, you know, real estate agent work. And because I was able to build my real estate business already as an agent, you know, I built my YouTube, I built my social media. I was always having a steady flow of incoming clients. So during 2020, I encouraged two of my best friends, Vince and Jay, to get their real estate license. And I took them under my wing and now they're my team. So now I'm teaching them, they get value out of it. They get experience, they get a piece of the pie. So when I get clients, I hand it off to them. I'm training them, I'm showing them the way, and they're building their real estate careers. So now I can delegate all of this stuff, all of this agent work, take a piece of the pie, also train my team and free up most of my time to focus on real estate work. So that was kind of super helpful in my transition to being an investor.
Yeah, so I think that's something that we talk about a lot, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about that because we try to discuss it in the form of like hats, right? Like you have the hat as an investor, you have the hat as an agent. And so I found that with a lot of agents, especially successful ones, they're making money, they're in the business. So it's not like something's wrong, but they haven't really seen the side that much as investors. So when they go into certain interactions and certain opportunities, they're only going with the agent hat. They're not able to put the investor hat on because they're not putting it on enough to be able to know, hey, this opportunity matches an investor more. So I think that's the tricky balance as an agent say, hey, and for me, I think it's important to have the mindset of, I'm an investor first, and then at times, then when I need to be, I'm an agent. I think that's the more healthy thing. Oh, I'm an agent, and here and there I dibble and dabble as an investor. Well, I have found that the most successful people that do both are really thinking as an investor first. You want to comment on that, you guys at all?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you can do both, right? I mean, like that's the ultimate, right? Like Jeremy said, like he was able to kind of use what he learned in one on the other, what you learned in social media on the other. Like, look, if you can use your complementary skills in other avenues of life, like there's nothing better than that, right? And Jeremy, I think like you're a great example of being able to use those complementary skills and not even just use them, but targeting where you can use them and where you can reuse them, right?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with being an agent. I actually found out about investing in a similar fashion. I was an agent in 2013, well, before that, but that's when I was doing a lot of short sales. And that's where I got the investor bug, because I would work for 6-8 months at a time to get a short sale approved for a bank. I would get that, negotiate and do a lot of heavy lifting. And like you were saying, it would suck the soul out of me to like be on the phone with these banks for hours, and then they hang up, and then I would have to send the documents over and over again. I would get sellers that didn't even want to send the documents again, didn't want to give me updated bank statements. It was just a lot of work. And then I'd make like 10 grand, and then the investor would make like 100. And I'm like, dude, like I'm doing like most of the hard work, and this person is making 10 times what I'm making. So I'm on the wrong side of this. So I think being an agent, if you're really paying attention, you are in those opportunities to get investment deals. But if you don't,
or you're
think that way,
seeing them go right next to you, whether you're a part of them or not. But like you said, if you're an agent, you're at least seeing them. You're a witness to them happening, right?
yeah. And it's a shame that so many agents never actually own investment property, even if they never become like a full-time investor, like that they don't actually own investment property. That's what I found to be super remarkable, that like, whoa, like you guys sell this, but yet you don't own any of it, like, or very little of it, or you just own like your house, that's it. Like, so I don't know. You definitely got to transition. Cool.
So like, obviously, you mentioned that this was a transition for you. So are you planning on completely abandoning your real estate side of the business, or are you going to ultimately end up, kind of keeping this as a transition where it's like, hey, I can use some of this real estate, realtor business to also kind of drive my investor side of my appetite as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm never getting my license, because it's just, first of all, I have my team, I can, with my YouTube and my social media building, I'm going to be always getting a steady flow of clients, and I could just pass it off to my team. If anything, I could build my team bigger. And that's just, I feel like that's money on the table that I don't want to, just let go, because one, I'm helping other people start their careers. And I've seen what real estate done to my life. So I want that for them as well. And another thing is that having your license, that means you can represent yourself. And that's what I've done. When I sold my first 2 flips, the first flip, I had a commission of $15,000. The second flip, I had a commission on the sale for about $20,000. And then now,
and let's talk about that real quick before you get into your third deal. Because again, like, think about that, guys. Like, that's commissions that you're earning because you have that. And Alex, when we do our calculator, the calculator that you guys have access to on the Facebook group, if you go to that calculator, we're putting in 1 to 2.5 to 3% commissions on the inside and on the outside on both sides of that transaction. That can be in some cases, like you're saying, like $10, $15, $20,000 again that you are saving on that deal. So when you do that calculation on that calculator, that gives you a whole different side of things that people like Alex and I just cannot do with our business. Like, neither of us have an agent license, neither of us want to have an agent license, and neither of us have an agent business that would require us to have an agent license. So that's the kind of the reality of that. And I know on your third deal, right, even crazier. So tell us about that one. Like, what happened there?
Yeah, this third deal is my biggest deal so far in my first year. I'm buying it for 1.3 million, and I got a commission on the buy. So when I closed it, when I began the rehab, I got a $30,000 check, all because, I'm a real estate agent. And, when I go to sell it, my ARV is looking like 2.2 million. I'm going to get a commission on selling that as well.
Get a commission on that side. There you go.
I do want to say this though, Jeremy, that it's also based on your current situation. That might not work for everybody, because if you're at a lower price point, right, you're flipping houses in the 100, 200, 300,000 range, that might not be the best use of your time to be out there representing yourself on that, right? Also, you already have a team now, so you're able to delegate a lot of the stuff So you're probably not even doing a lot of stuff that a listing agent or buying agent would do on an investment deal. Like you're more the investor than you're the agent, but you have the license. So because I think it just is not uniform to everybody that you should have a license, but it's benefiting you because of your business model. I just kind of want to highlight that too.
Oh yeah, it definitely works for me because of my business model. Also because of my market, Hawaii, super expensive. So to get, a lot fat returns or like, high income levels, I only have to do 1, 2, or 3 flips versus in another market where the median price of homes are like 100, 150,000. So yeah, I guess I'm lucky and blessed because of the market that I'm in as well.
Yeah.
So guys, real quick, before we kind of, dive into, the transition there, because again, like I want you to kind of talk a little bit about that, Jeremy. Like you mentioned, you've grown your team a little bit and you're planning to continue to grow it. And Alex, you kind of touched on it right there as well, but like, what are some of those first things that you are delegating? Is it the open houses? Is it the, the marketing to new clients? Like what is that? And what are the things that Jeremy knows, like, hey, I do best and I need to continue to do for that side of the business?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like when we started the team at the beginning of the year, I'm sure you guys would get this too, but when you have new people, it's kind of hard to trust them and, delegate a lot of responsibilities. So I just started out as, I would do all the work. The client would come in if they want to buy something. I would do the showings, but they would tag along. So I show them how showings are done, what you say, what you point out while you're talking to them. And then after that, slowly but surely, when we get into escrow, I bring them to the home inspection, and then after that, I bring them to the closing table where we're signing. And then now I'm like, all right, so you've seen how it works. I CC them on all the emails during escrow. Now, whenever I get new clients, I'm like, all right, man, it's your time to step up. You know what to do. So whenever I get a lead, I'm really good because usually when people come to me, they've seen me from YouTube, they've seen me from Instagram. So they're used to my face. They're used to my face. I talk to them and, they get the Jeremy Mateo experience. And then I'm always telling them, hey, we're definitely going to take care of you. Me and my team will make sure you get the house that you want, or we'll take care of you and we'll sell the home that you're trying to sell. After that, I loop in, start a group chat with my team and the client, or, an email, introduce them. Maybe if we're doing showings, the first showing I'll go. But then after that, they've already met my team. They've met Vince or they met Jay. And then they can take it from there. And after that, I'm out of the equation. I'm CC'd on emails, I'll check up on them once in a while because I don't want a client feeling like I'm just, handing them off to someone, because
they're not getting that Jeremy Mateo experience, right? They're getting the other, you still want to have that, right?
Yeah. Like the reason why they came to me is they see my videos on YouTube, and I feel like I do a good job of sticking out from everyone else in Hawaii on YouTube, because everyone's like the normal realtor, like, hey, welcome, this is a 3-bedroom house. I put my personality into my videos, and I think people like that. And when they see that, they're like, oh, I want to meet you, I want to meet your team. And that's kind of how I've been slowly delegating it to the work. So now whenever I get a lead, I do the intro email, intro text with me and my team, like, hey, we're about to help you, we're going to take care of you. Boom,
Yeah, I'd like to add something about that too, because I'm kind of forced to do that in many ways now too, because people reach out to me because of the social media and they're like, hey, Alex, I got this hot deal for you. You got to, take a look at it. And then like, I didn't see the message right away because I get a lot of DMs. And so I basically tell them like, hey, I'd like for you to send any new opportunities directly to Will, because Will is probably going to be able to get back to you faster. Now, if it's something that we definitely want to buy, want to look into, like, I'm happy to jump on a call. But since I travel often, since I'm working on other stuff, not directly acquisitions as much anymore, I just wouldn't want you to get wouldn't want it to be where we miss an opportunity to work with you simply because I'm not able to respond to you fast enough. Does that make sense? And so I'm having to have these conversations with these, wholesalers, with these agents, with everybody else, because that is if I'm on a flight or I'm, in a meeting, talking to one of our lenders or something like that, or doing training with the team, like that's more important use of my time than just looking at one specific deal that might not even be a deal, right? And so I think it's a very tricky kind of so then that way that person doesn't feel like, oh, you're just handing them off like you mentioned, but they still get that, like, hey, that connection. Because I tell them too, like, hey, if there's something, if Will's not getting back to you, or there's something that you have additional questions that you only want to talk to me about it, I'm happy to talk to you about it. I just want to make sure that we get back to you faster, and that might not be going directly to me. And then that way they understand that. So I think it's really a big part of it is setting expectations with these, people, and because they have reached out to you. So they have the confidence that they want to work with you. So you want to capture that and let them know, hey, I appreciate that, but I want to serve you. I want to help you. I want to work with you. But to that, there's a system already in place to do that. And then they understand
the
that.
Jeremy Mateo team is what gives you that service, right? The Alex Camacho team is what gives you that service.
And they end up liking Will more than me anyway. So I'm good.
No, and the other thing I like that you mentioned there too, Jeremy, is like you have to give those shots to the people that you're training underneath. And that was something that, Alex, I'm sure struggled with, and I struggle with now too, is like, hey, when there's a shot that comes in, like, sometimes it might be like, dude, I'm actually busy. I'm doing something else. I have my 9 to 5. I have, something else going on. I can't get to this lead right away. And it's like, man, I'm going to have to give that bounce pass to somebody else and let them take that shot. But, once you've kind of trained them and brought them under their wing and you get them to that level of confidence, then, it's time for them to kind of get those shots. And so I love that you mentioned that as well, Jeremy, because it's,
because
that's part of growing a team.
Then you have to have the competence. You have to train that competence to other people, and then you have to trust that they're going to be able to run with that. And Will is absolutely right. The first month or two, I was like, no, I want to call this agent. I want to call that seller back. But then it's like, no, like I have to trust them. But now that I've trained them, they should be able to take the shot. And then now I'm passing the ball. Now it's like blind faith. I'm like, all right, cool. Like you guys are going to probably take a better shot at this anyway, because I'm rusty and I'm not in that sales mode, acquisitions mode all day in, day out. So I'm probably not even the best person to call that lead or to have that conversation with that agent anymore, as sad as that kind of sounds.
So guys, before we transition, because I want to talk a little bit about your deals here, Jeremy. I know, like you said, you've done 3 deals this year and they've been some killer deals. So I want to get into those here real quick. Before we do, I'm sharing the results from the poll, just so you guys can see here. We had about 15 agents in here, about 23 non-agents, and then 3 people that are in the process. So just real quick hitter, Jeremy, what one piece of advice would you have for those 3 people here in the tribe that are in the process of getting their license? And then in the meantime, for the 15 of you that answered yes, I have a second question for you guys, and I'm dropping that poll right now. It's, are you an agent and an investor? So are you both a realtor and an investor, or are you simply just an agent? And again, I'd love to get some feedback from you, 15 that answered yes on that first question there, on that one. And Jeremy, give us a quick hitter, big piece of advice for those 3 folks that are getting their license.
Yeah, for the people their license, study hard, practice exams. And if you fail your first try, don't give up. I remember when I was a young realtor, believe it or not, I took the test 5 times. I was 19 years old. I didn't take it seriously. And I thought it was like another final I could cram for. It's not, but definitely that was
I took it 3 times, man. I was a 3-time failure. Good thing about the real estate score is it doesn't give you an F. Like it just tells you did not pass. So it doesn't make you feel as bad about it, right?
Yeah. And then, once you get your license, same thing with investing, find out who's the who like in the industry, like who are the top people that are like killing it, try to get around them, try to see what they're doing. If they're on social media, which I'm assuming they would, because that's a real big reason how people get to the top, see what they're doing, see what they're posting, and just try to mimic them and make it your own. And once you do get your license, figure out, okay, do I want to be an investor or do I just want to be an agent? Or maybe you want to be an agent first, then a couple years down the road, then you'll be an investor. But really, it all comes down to networking and social media.
And guys, I'm posting the Facebook group one more time. Like Jeremy said, I think if you're not on social media and if you're not active, you're making a big mistake. There's a post on our Facebook group that just says, roll call, where's everyone from? So if you are new this week, make sure you join the Facebook group. Let us know where you're from in there. Let us know your Instagram handle in there so we can connect with you and keep the conversation going. And if you are one of those 15 agents that said yes, go ahead and let us know in there as well. Like, hey, I'm a realtor. That way we all at least, come out of this call today and say, hey, I know one extra realtor in my area or an area that I'm looking to invest in. So Jeremy, I know you mentioned 3 deals this year, right? And again, round of applause to you, man. That is a killer year for your first year in investing. And as you transition over, So no small feat there, especially in a market like Hawaii, right? So tell us, like, deal one,
Mhm.
what's your biggest kind of takeaway from that deal, from that process?
Oh man, deal one. So the first deal, again, I had no experience. I was super scared. Some guy on a boat told me money will appear out of nowhere if I just find a deal. So I'm like, all right, I just gotta find the deal. But yeah, literally that deal one was a leap of faith. And I remember I found the deal, got the money, got my buddies to help me with the down payment. I'm like, all right, cool. And I remember when they did the demo, it was a real bad house with a lot of termite damage, and they took out an entire floor in the bathroom. And literally, here's the floor, and I'm like standing through the floor, and I'm just thinking, like, what did I get myself into? You know, as a real
A
estate
hole in
agent.
the floor, and you're looking down, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like this is bad.
Yeah, as a real estate agent, you know, we're used to showing beautiful homes, and we're not used to seeing a hole where the bathroom should be, you know. And I was just remembering, okay, I just got to trust the process. And, you know, slowly but surely it started, you know, week after week, it started looking nice and nice. And I was like, wow, like this is really working. And then we sold it, $72,000 in profit on my first deal, split that 3 ways. And I'm like, wow, okay, like that wasn't that bad. Like that was actually pretty, not, I don't want to say easy, but if I just took action and followed the steps, followed the advice that Alex gave me, this is going to work. So that was like a really big eye opener. You know, that was the first one. But that was pretty awesome. And
And
for
I
the,
love how on that first deal, right? Like hard money lenders, like, you know, some of those people, you're still going to need that private capital. You're going to need that upfront down payment capital. And, you know, if you don't have the track record, you know, friends and family are a good place to start. And, you know, good for you being able to go get some of your best buddies, you know, who have also shown some interest in this in the past to say like, hey, this might be the one you found for us here, Jeremy. I think we want to get in. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
I'm curious, Jeremy, since you don't have, I don't think you have a construction background, like who managed that project for you? Because you found the money, you found the deal. Who was instrumental in making sure that that project was on time, under budget, or did the market help you there? How did you handle that? I don't think we talked about that before.
oh yeah, that's a good question. So coming into flipping, I was like, all right, I'm really good at the real estate part, but I'm terrible at the construction part. Like, what is a solid, you know, like when getting bids, what is a good bid? Like for this amount of work, what is supposed to be, I guess the dollar amount of this bid for this amount of work? So fun fact, when I remodeled my condo, I got screwed by a GC, ended up paying $30,000 extra. And I was like, all right, like I need to for sure vet my GCs. So on this project, you know, when people say get 3, we actually got 6 different GCs opinions. And
Wow.
they were ranging from like, so I bought it for 540. A lot of these bids were ranging from like 90,000, 100,000. I'm like, dude, this is not going to work if it's that much. And it came down to 2 GCs where one, he said he could do it for like 90 or 85,000, and he could do it in 2 months. Or we could use my partner's cousin, my partner's uncle, who is also a GC. He could do it for 75,000, but he's only going to work on the weekends. So that's when we're like in a predicament. We're like, do we want it done faster or for a more expensive, or, you know, kind of like have a lower rehab budget, but it will take 1 month extra. So we did the math. We're like, all right, how much is 1 month of holding costs with the private hard money interest? We found out it was like $4,000. So if we, you know, went with the other guys, 100,000 rehab, or like the other guy, which was like 85, 90, then it would be better to just go with your uncle, even though it was delayed for an extra month. So we're like, all right, plus he's my partner's uncle, so we trusted him. So we're like, all right, we'll go with him. And that's pretty much how I found my GC for
Okay,
that.
Six
cool.
bids. That's incredible, man. Like, because again, sometimes people go skimp on that, and you know, that's a big piece there, man.
Yeah, and so for the newer investors or people that, you know, haven't rehabbed that many properties, we also bid our properties out to at least 3 different GCs, because we get ideas from all of them, and they're not all created equal. They all have different bandwidth. They all have different specialty, as far as sometimes you pick one and then you're going to end up subbing out some of the other work that maybe they're a little bit high on.
Let's go ahead and dive into deal number 2 here, Jeremy. I know deal number 2 was a big deal for you as well, and different in this one, right?
Oh yeah.
So give us your biggest takeaway on this one.
So deal number two was pretty unexpected. I acquired, or I got it under contract during deal number one, and most investors, when you have your first deal, you're only going to focus on one deal. But it just so happened this second deal was just so good, I just could not let it go. But anyway, so we're in the middle of deal one. I found deal two, and we're purchasing it for 810, and it literally didn't need that much work. It was pretty much a wholesale. It just needed repainting, cleaning, and a new fridge. And so we did that, and I guess luck was on my side because we got under contract in May, and we couldn't acquire it till about September or August, I think. It was September. And because of that, it was like some delayed with escrow. But that one was pretty crazy because it needed $5,000 as initial, the EMD. But the thing was, all of my money was tied up in that first flip.
In deal one, right?
Yeah, in deal one. And I was like, you know what? I can't let this go. Screw it. So I wrote a $5,000 check for that deposit. And it just so happened that was my last $5,000 in my bank account. But I just knew it was such a good deal. I wouldn't let it go. And I do have a mortgage. So I ended up selling some stock to pay for my mortgage just to get this deal, which, I don't recommend. But, at the end of the day, if your gut tells you it's a good deal, which it was a good deal, do what you have to do to make things work. And so
finally, there's other investors in here that have had a deal come by on their plate and they're just like, oh, I got too much going on. And it's tough, right? Like, even if you're in your first, you're sitting there and you're like, dude, this one looks good. Like, how am I going to let that, go right past me? So, bro, $5,000 left in the bank. And it's funny you mention it because like I sold some of my stock recently to make a transaction on my end work, and it's like, did I want to do that? Not necessarily, but I've owned it for a long enough time. I'm not going to pay too much on capital gains. So, it's something that had to happen. So, again, I think that's incredible, right? Because a lot of people will get caught up and say, I got to finish this first deal. But you said, no, I'm going all in on deal number two.
Yeah. What's up, Alex?
Sorry about that. There's just it was like a false alarm over here for the building I'm at. So my apologies, guys. But continue.
Yeah,
we were just talking deal number two. This guy Jeremy sold $5,000 worth of stock. Basically sold his stock because he had nothing left in the bank. He's all in on deal one, and deal two just hits him in the face, and he has to do it. So Jeremy, what's a wholesale? Tell us what that means. For the folks in the tribe that don't know what that means, because again, that you said this is a little different than your other deal. It was a heavy fixer, and this one's more of a wholesale.
Yeah, so wholesale, from what I've heard, is basically a home that like doesn't really need that much fixing, which this was the case. We bought it literally just a few minor things like buying a new fridge and repainting. It's not necessarily a huge project like a flip. So it's just like, a wholesale, you acquire it, do some small things, and then sell it again. And so finally, when we acquired the deal, it was in September, and we bought it I bought it. This time I discovered what private money lending was. So I got 80% from hard money, got 20% from a private money lender, and I just have $5,000 of my own money in the deal.
Second flip, and he's already flipping with other people's money, right?
So we did that.
I want to say that that's like not very common, you guys, but Jeremy being a risk taker and asking for it and asking questions enabled him to do that because he was like receptive and he also took the action. But that is a bit more of an advanced strategy to be able to get the hard money loan, and then we call it capital stacking. But I mean, you can do it when you're newer. It's just not that common. I want to kind of highlight that. So good job on that.
I said, I mean, like it's incredible that you did that on the second deal because, again, people had to really trust you to be willing to do that, right?
Yeah, and I think you built up that track record over time with the agent business, and then putting other people on and having a team and already having success on the first deal, or at least it was looking that way, I would imagine. And then you were able to kind of raise the capital to take the other deal down with very little or none of your own money. So kudos, man.
Thanks. Yeah, it was crazy. The private money lender, like I introduced myself, hey, I'm a flipper. I just finished my first deal and I'm looking for private money funds to cover this amount. And, I've been an agent for, since 2014. And I sent him a link to my YouTube channel. And I guess that was kind of the deciding factor because all of my YouTube videos, I guess that was like my resume or my credibility which was like kind of made me think like, wow, like more people should get into YouTube and social media. So yeah,
Your digital business card, right?
exactly. And so we did that, put it on the market for 970, and then we got an offer for 996,500, and I listed my own flip. So including profit and commission, I made $120,000 in profit in 56 days, which blew my mind. And I had $5,000 of my own money in the deal. So now going back,
5 in, 125 out. Like
yeah.
you're bought in at this point, right?
So that's when I was like, wow, like leverage is awesome. And it kind of like during the time when I was like, I had no money in my bank, I was like, am I stupid for this? I was like, no, like this is a good deal. Like I knew it in my heart and my gut that like I have to like go through this. And
Is it because of the comps, or you knew the area, or you talked to a lot of agents that that had worked in the area? Because if I'm not mistaken, it was in Eva Beach, and that's a very up and coming area, correct?
yeah, it was, I knew the neighborhood like the back of my hand. Like I used to live in that neighborhood. I knew that there was, because I'm an agent, I have access to MLS. I looked on it every single day, and everything was in escrow or sold. There was nothing active. And if it was active, it would get into escrow after like 2 to 8 days.
So once again, guys, like he knew his market, and he, there wasn't a heavy rehab. And so there's a lot of factors that go into taking a deal down, and it's, from the acquisition that the numbers make sense, but he knew the area. And then also he had already had some experience. So your success kind of compounds on itself, does it not? Right. That's how I feel a lot with what we're working on, that, we're getting more deals, and people are like always asking the same question, like, how are you guys getting so many deals? Well, part of that is because most of the team is, or all the team really is very trained, and, we're very clear on what we want to accomplish. And, that's been happening consistently for well over a year now. And then now we're seeing the compound effect of that. So you get to a point where, like an inflection point where like, okay, it's pretty hard for you to quote unquote fail if you've already taken enough consistent action and very purposeful, and that it just all compounds on each other. And then you're like, okay, you're getting deal flow. Now our problem is no longer deal flow. It's more of like just being organized, and then raising more capital to do these deals, and deciding which ones we do. And now we're, having to decide, okay, now we're going to keep these because of tax strategy and because of Airbnb type of possibilities. So we're constantly evolving, but we're not having the same stresses that we did at the beginning of like, oh, how do I get my first deal? Well, okay, we're past that, but there's always another challenge, but it does compound. So you can don't ever underestimate how much compound interest, compound action will help your business and help you have success as an investor, but you need to do that over a long period of time. So
we talked about that as our year goal. So our 2021 company goal was 1% better each day, because if you compound that 1% every day, you're getting incredibly better every day. So Jeremy, what we like to do here at the end, and we'll go ahead and ask you about your third deal as we do this, but we just like to go ahead and welcome everybody else onto the screen, kind of give them a chance to say hey and introduce themselves, and thank you. If you guys got a lot of value out of Jeremy, as soon as he tells us about this third deal, go ahead and let us know here once you get on the screen. But Jeremy, third deal of the year, what's the scoop? What's the inside track? What kind of went down on this one, man?
Ooh, so yeah, deal 3, this is a nuts deal, the biggest deal I'm taking on. I'm buying it for 1.3 million. Rehab is looking like 300,000, and the ARV is looking like 2.2 million. And I wrote an offer on this sight unseen. I was actually in an airport on the way to the mastermind in Vegas when a realtor that knows me messaged me on Instagram. He's like, hey dude, I have a really good deal that you probably would want to buy. So he sent me the address, I ran the comps, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to make this much, and I kept redoing it, recalculating. I'm like, holy crap, this is a good deal. And then, so I wrote the offer, cool, did that. And then when I came back from Vegas, I saw the home and I was like, wow, like this is a real big deal. Like it's a nice big home. It's waterfront in the back. You could put a boat in there. And the profit after it's all said and done is looking like $500,000.
Let's go.
Drinks on Jeremy, baby. Drinks on you. Let's go, baby.
Let's go. But yeah, dude, it gets crazier. So we bought it, right? I did the same tactic. I wrote the offer, 1.3 million, didn't know how I was going to get all this money. So I reached out hard money for 20%, private money for 20%, the other 20%. So same guy, he likes me, likes doing business with me. He's like, yeah, Jeremy, go ahead, boom. So sent me the money. When I wrote the offer for EMD, usually, the seller's gonna want like a high EMD, like 5,000, 10,000. But I was like, you know what? Let me just shoot my shot here. I wrote EMD for $2,000 and they accepted it. So I'm all in this deal, 2,000. But because I'm an agent, when we closed, I got $30,000 in commission. So I literally made money buying this deal. But now is all doing the hard part, which is construction. Originally, we were gonna have like 200,000 in rehab, but now it's looking like 300,000. But here's even the crazier part. It gets more crazy. Before I even closed on the buy, some people found me on YouTube and they wanted to buy a house here. And they're like, oh, we see you on YouTube. We want to buy real estate. I took them around the island. They didn't like the houses. They asked to see my flip. I showed them it. And they're like, oh my God, Jeremy, I want to buy this. Can we make a deal? Long story short, they signed a contract saying they're going to buy it for 2.2 million. They're going to wire me $135,000 as their EMD. And they said I could do whatever with money, whatever I want with that money. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And so I was like, wow, I solidified a buyer before I even bought this. So me and the buyer, we're working together to kind of like give him the finishes that he wants in respect to my budget. So really crazy unicorn deal that came out of nowhere, but I'm glad I took it. I was kind of hesitant because I didn't see it in person, but I'm glad I did.
Wow.
Great, like huge learning lessons there, right? It kind of all the different pieces come together, right? Social media brought it in, your past leap of faith gives you the ability to do, buy sight unseen. And trust me, I mean, like I called Alex a couple times and I was like, hey bro, I just realized that we bought a house and we closed escrow and I've still never actually, like me myself, been in it. Like I saw the report, you and I ran the numbers, but like me myself or you have actually never been in that house nor seen it in person. And he was like, yeah, we're good though. Like we're good, and I mean, like those are kind of crazy when you have that moment. So, I think that's awesome for you, Jeremy, to have all those, three pieces hit on one deal. That's incredible stuff.
Thanks, man. And yeah, like, going back, like I literally began my investor journey in January this year, and never would I thought I would be buying a $1.3 million deal in my first year. But, if the numbers make sense, why not? Because yes, I'm buying it for 1.3 million. I'm going to sell it for 2.2 million. It's literally the same as buying a $130,000 home and selling it for 220. It's just another zero. So if the numbers make sense and they're really good numbers, why not? Who cares how much it is?
And that agent, did he ask to relist it if you knew you're going to flip it, or, the one that was giving you the deal, or how did that conversation go to negotiate the deal?
Oh yeah. So my value proposition when I tell people how I find deals, like I'm kind of lazy, honestly. I don't like to look for deals. So I tell everyone on my Instagram, hey, if you find me a deal, I'll cut you in. I'll even teach you how to flip from A through Z. So while I have all my followers looking for deals, I can chill and relax. And this guy found me a deal. And
I already secret right here, guys. all the followers that are on the webinar today, you guys heard it here.
Yeah, other people's money also use OPT, other people's time. So this guy found me the deal and I'm like, yo, you want to partner? And at first he was like, no, like I'll just sell it to you as an agent. And I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm thinking like, dude, this guy's nuts. Like, okay, but that's your thing. But after we closed, he was telling me like there was some drama in the family. Like the owner had like an ex-wife calling a lawyer to call the agent saying, hey, you're selling this and he's old, like you shouldn't be doing this. So if you were to partner with me, that would be like a conflict of interest. But he didn't really want to relist it because he knows that I'm an agent. But what he really wants is, to learn how to flip. So I'm like, all right, dude, you're good at finding deals. Just find me another one and then we can partner. And he found me a deal yesterday. So we're working on that, trying to make that happen, but we'll see.
Awesome, dude. Great story. Guys, anybody have any questions for Jeremy? Do we have anything in the chat that we didn't cover?
I think we banged out most of them. I think there was a question from Noriel just asking the source of that second deal. And other than that, I think we nailed most of the questions that came up. This is an incredible webinar, bro. I appreciate you kind of diving into everything.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, Noriel, I found it from a wholesaler. He posted it in a Facebook group full of investors, and it was literally like at night, I see that post, I see the name of the neighborhood, and I'm like, oh my God, I know this neighborhood. This neighborhood is hot. So I texted him right away. I'm like, yo, let me see it tomorrow morning. And then he did. And then when I look back at that post, like 3 days later, there was like 50 other people who commented on that post. And I was the first one to comment. So, you know, speed matters, you know, time is of essence. So that's what was the difference between me and someone else getting the deals. I just commented first.
Man, awesome.
I want to be like Jeremy when I grow up, man.
Well,
Good stuff, man.
I think we're coming here to the end here, guys. Unless anybody has any questions, thanks for your time. As always, we try to bring as much value as possible. I think Jeremy was a clear example of somebody that's willing to take some risk, take action, follow the advice of people that are doing something he wants to do. I think there's a ton of gems in the call. Like I said, I love hanging with Jeremy. His energy is just undeniable. He's just always exuberant, always, trying to have a good time and just live life to the fullest. And I think that translates very well on his YouTube channel. So check his YouTube channel out. Thank you guys for all your time. I see a lot of familiar faces. So shout out to all you guys that come back every single week. Any last comments, guys? Because we got to get going. We still got work to do. It's end of the year.
Again, my last comment would just be like, again, Jeremy, thank you, bro. Like this was great. I know there's 15, 20 agents and or going to be agents in the room. And I'm absolutely positive that they might've gotten some inspiration or some feedback from you that'll help them on their journey. So again, we appreciate you, bro. The tribe appreciates you joining us, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. All right.
Thank you,
All right, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year,
Let's
guys.
go.
Happy holidays. Let's go get some deals.
Later.
Close the year strong.
See you guys in January.
Yes, sir. We'll see you out there, bro.
All right, later.